Ladies, there are 5 questions you must ask before you sleep with a man because they expose his true intentions before your heart pays the price. Let's be honest. When the butterflies are strong, the late-night talks stretch past midnight, and the chemistry feels electric, it's easy to believe intimacy is the natural next step. And there's nothing wrong with wanting that closeness. Physical connection can be beautiful, bonding, and deeply memorable. Before you take that step, remember this. Attraction fades fast, but emotional clarity lasts. A few simple questions asked now can shield your heart later. Better to face the truth up front than to carry regret afterward. Hi, it's Vernon again. Today, I'm sharing 5 powerful questions every woman should ask a man before sleeping together. Questions that reveal his true intentions, his level of respect, and his emotional readiness for real intimacy. If you're ready to love with wisdom and protect your precious heart, hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. I'm building a community of women who choose love with intelligence, not just passion. Now, let's dive into the first question that changes everything.
What are you really looking for in a relationship? This isn't small talk, darling. This is emotional archaeology. You're digging for the truth beneath his charming words and romantic gestures. Men can be genuinely attracted to you, enjoy your company, and still have completely different relationship goals than you do. Without this clarity, you're building a castle on quicksand. Let me share a story that breaks my heart every time I think about it. My dear friend Maris, 58, met David at a book club. He was attentive, brought her flowers, took her to lovely dinners. When she felt ready for intimacy, she never asked this fundamental question. She assumed his actions meant he wanted something serious. After they slept together, David gradually became distant. When Maris finally asked about their future, he said, "I thought we were just having fun. I'm not ready for anything serious right now." Maris felt devastated, not because David was wrong, but because she never knew where she stood. Now, contrast that with my sister, Sarah, 62. When she met Tom, the chemistry was undeniable. But before taking things further, she asked directly, "Tom, I'm enjoying getting to know you, but I need to understand, what are you really looking for in a relationship right now?" Tom paused, then said, "Sarah, I'll be honest. I'm still healing from my divorce. I'm drawn to you, but I can't promise anything serious for at least another year." Sarah appreciated his honesty. She decided to wait, and they continued building their friendship. A year later, Tom was ready, and they're now happily together. The key is listening not just to his words, but to his energy when he answers. Does he light up talking about building something meaningful? Does he get uncomfortable and change the subject? Does he give vague answers like, "Let's see where this goes"? A man who's serious about you will welcome this conversation. He'll appreciate that you're thinking long-term, just like he is. A man who's just looking for physical connection will often get defensive or try to redirect the conversation back to the moment. Clarity is kindness, as Brené Brown says. By asking this question, you're being kind to both of you, giving him permission to be honest and giving yourself the information you need to make a wise decision. I'm curious, have you ever been in a situation where you wished you'd asked this question earlier? Share your experience in the comments below. Your story might help another woman avoid heartbreak. But knowing what he wants isn't enough. You also need to know how he respects you.
2. How do you view respect and boundaries? This question is your emotional safety net. It tells you whether he sees you as a whole person with feelings, limits, and needs, or as an object for his pleasure. Respect is love in action, Bell Hooks reminds us. And nowhere is this more important than in intimate moments when you're most vulnerable. I remember when my wife and I were dating 35 years ago. She asked me this exact question, and I'll never forget that conversation. She said, "Vernon, I need to know that if I ever say no, or if I need to stop, or if something doesn't feel right, you'll respect that without question, without pressure, without making me feel guilty." I was actually grateful she asked. It showed me she was a woman who valued herself, and it gave me the chance to assure her that her comfort and consent were more important to me than any physical desire. That conversation deepened our trust immeasurably. Listen carefully to how he responds. A mature man will say something like, "Absolutely. Your comfort is paramount to me. I want you to feel safe to communicate anything." He might even share how he's learned to be attentive to his partner's needs. But watch for red flags. If he seems annoyed by the question, if he says things like, "Don't worry, you'll love it," or "Trust me, I know what I'm doing," these are warning signs. A man who can't discuss boundaries respectfully before intimacy won't respect them during intimacy. The right man will ask questions too. What makes you feel most comfortable? How do you like to communicate if something isn't feeling right? What are your boundaries? He'll be curious about your needs, not just focused on his own desires. This question also reveals his emotional intelligence. Can he hold space for a serious conversation about intimacy? Does he understand that great physical connection requires emotional safety first? Or does he get impatient and try to rush past the talking to the touching? Remember, darling, a man who respects your boundaries before you're intimate will respect them afterward too. A man who pushes against your boundaries when you're dressed will certainly push against them when you're vulnerable. Your boundaries aren't obstacles to intimacy. They're the foundation that makes true intimacy possible. If this resonates with you, please share this video with your friends or in your women's groups. These conversations need to happen more often in our community. And once respect is clear, the next question is about responsibility. 3. What does commitment mean to you? Here's a truth that might surprise you. Without commitment, you cannot have depth in anything, as Neil Strauss wisely observed. This applies especially to intimate relationships. Now, you might think this is the same as the first question, but it's not. The first question asks what he wants. This question asks what he's willing to give. Men define commitment very differently. For some, commitment means exclusivity. For others, it means emotional availability. Some think commitment means planning a future together. Others believe it simply means being honest about where they are today. Without understanding his definition, you might think you're on the same page when you're reading completely different books. The key is getting specific. When he says he's ready for commitment, ask, what does that look like to you day to day? Listen for details. Does commitment mean you'll talk every day? That you'll spend weekends together? That you'll meet each other's families? That you'll plan vacations together? A man who's truly ready for commitment won't be vague or uncomfortable with these details. He'll paint you a picture of what being committed to you actually means in his daily life. Also pay attention to his relationship history. Ask, how have you shown commitment in past relationships? His actions with previous partners are often the best predictor of his actions with you. The men who are vague about commitment are usually the ones who want to keep their options open. The men who are specific and enthusiastic about what commitment means are the ones ready to build something real. Remember, you're not interrogating him. You're having a mature conversation about building a life together. Frame it positively. I'm excited about us both, and I want to understand how we both view commitment so we can build something beautiful together. If commitment is defined, the next question reveals his emotional maturity.
4. How do you handle emotional challenges? This question is crucial because intimacy amplifies everything. If he can't handle emotions when you're dating, he definitely can't handle them when you're vulnerable and naked in his arms. I learned this lesson from my close friend Patricia, 59, who shared her story with me in confidence. She met a wonderful man named Robert, charming, successful, attentive. But she noticed something troubling. Whenever their conversations got emotionally deep, he would change the subject or make a joke. Patricia ignored this red flag because everything else felt so right. After they became intimate, the pattern became painfully clear. When she tried to share her feelings about their relationship, Robert would shut down. When she was going through a difficult time with her aging mother, he became distant. When she needed emotional support, he was nowhere to be found. The intimacy that should have brought them closer actually highlighted how emotionally unavailable he was. Patricia felt more alone in that relationship than she had felt being single. Listen for these green flags. He acknowledges that he's still learning and growing emotionally. He can describe specific ways he's learned to be present during difficult times. He asks about your emotional needs and shares his own. He understands that emotions aren't problems to be fixed, but experiences to be witnessed. Watch for red flags. He says things like, "I don't like drama." Translation, "Your feelings are drama." He changes the subject when emotions come up. He has a history of leaving relationships when they get too serious or too complicated. The truth is, darling, after 60, we've all been through enough to have some emotional complexity. A man who can't handle emotions is a man who can't handle the reality of loving a full, complex woman. Emotional maturity is the foundation of real intimacy, John Gottman teaches us. Don't settle for surface-level connection. Save this video so you remember to ask these questions when it matters. Your future happiness depends on choosing a man who can love all of you, not just the easy parts. And once you understand how he handles emotions, there's one question that brings everything into focus. The question that reveals whether this connection is just for now or for something lasting.
5. Do you see this as just a moment or the beginning of something deeper?
This question is powerful because it gives him permission to be completely honest without making either answer wrong. Some men are genuinely looking for a meaningful connection in the moment without necessarily planning a future. Others are hoping this is the start of something lasting. Both answers are valid, but you need to know which one you're dealing with. Here's why this question is so revealing. It requires emotional honesty and self-awareness. A man who's just looking for physical pleasure might feel uncomfortable with the question and try to give you the answer he thinks you want. But a mature man will appreciate your directness and respond with equal honesty. Authenticity in his voice, consistency between his words and his previous actions, and respect for the weight of the question. A man who sees this as the beginning of something deeper will often get excited talking about possibilities. A man who sees this as a beautiful moment will be honest about his limitations. Love is not just a feeling, it is a commitment to a future. Erich Fromm reminds us. Make sure you both understand what kind of love you're creating together. Intimacy without clarity is a risk your heart doesn't deserve. At this stage of life, every choice matters more deeply. After 60, time feels too precious to waste on confusion or half-hearted intentions. Your body, your emotions, your heart, they've all carried you through decades of living, and they deserve to be met with clarity and respect. Real intimacy is not just about sharing a bed, it's about sharing truth. And when both people stand on the same ground of honesty, what begins as a single moment can grow into something profoundly lasting. If you've stayed with me until now, you already know these 5 questions by heart. More importantly, you understand why they matter, because they protect your heart, honor your worth, and open the door to love that's real and lasting. These aren't just questions, they're acts of self-love. They're your way of saying, I value myself enough to understand what I'm entering into. The strongest intimacy doesn't begin with the body. It begins with the courage to ask the questions that protect your heart. I want to leave you with this truth. To love oneself enough to ask the hard questions is the beginning of real love. When you honor yourself enough to seek clarity, you teach others to honor you too. Which one do you wish you had asked in a past relationship? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your wisdom might be exactly what another woman needs to hear. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and check the description for additional resources on building healthy relationships after 60. You deserve love that honors your wisdom, respects your boundaries, and celebrates your beautiful heart. And I'm Vernon. Thanks for watching till now. See you in the next video.